Hey, thanks so much for tuning into the Daily Dose for Spiritual Growth. We are continuing on in the book of Psalms, and this is week number 2 of our 21 days of prayer and fasting. If you're just joined us, if you just started the fast yesterday or maybe just today, let's start off strong, okay? And so whatever you're fasting and then whatever you're praying for, let's go to the Lord with boldness and let's have our prayers be audacious because, hey, we serve a God of miracles, of the impossible. And that goes with today's psalm as well. This is a psalm of Asaph. This is Psalm 76. And at the time, the armies were going around and attacking the Israelites, and there was definitely fear. But what Asaph is writing about is the goodness and the power of God and how he fights our battles and how we can go to him because, again, he is the God of the impossible. He is the God of miracles. Before I read a couple verses in Psalm 76, I encourage you to read the whole thing, is ask you this question: how do you experience God? Or is there a place that you are more in tune with his spirit, with the Holy Spirit? For me personally, I love the outdoors. And so like right now, having it be cold, I'm not a fan. Not a fan because I love being outside. I love walking around, hiking, or whatever it may be. I love doing that because I like being active, but then also I love enjoying God's creation. I sense his presence. And here, I want you to think about Asaph's words here and think about the geographic of where he is at and seeing the mountains and seeing the wild animals and things like that. And listen to what he has to say about God the Father. I'm going to read in verses 4-6. Verse 4 says, "You are glorious and more majestic than the everlasting mountains." Now, where I'm living right now in Southern York County, there is really no mountains. You have to travel several hours to get to at least some mountains of the Poconos. But depending on where you live, or maybe think back of the times when you did go on a vacation and, you saw the mountains, might be the Smoky Mountains down to the south or wherever it may be. I thoroughly enjoy mountains. I was never a skier or snowboarder or anything like that, but just seeing God's creation through that is absolutely amazing. And here we see Asaph. He is in that type of environment, in that geographic location, and he's saying, God, how much bigger, how much greater are you? I mean, what an amazing prayer, an amazing reverence that Asaph says to the Lord. He says, "Our boldest enemies have been plundered. They lie before us in the sleep of death. No warrior can lift a hand against us." Now, this is where they were obviously facing physical battle, and he sees the miraculous work of God. He goes on to even say in verse 6, "At the last blast of your breath, O God of Jacob, their horses and chariots lay still." Oftentimes the Israelites, God's people, God's army they were outnumbered. They were out-resourced. The other armies and enemies had chariots. They had horses where the Israelites didn't. And I want you to think about the wording that Asaph chose here. He says, "And their horses and chariots lay still." It may seem like the enemy has lots of resources and lots of attacks and his schemes are great. And maybe in your life, he has been working overtime. I get it. I understand. But do you understand the power of our God? Do you understand that whatever that enemy tries to throw at us, he can lay it dormant. He can squash it. He can overpower it, whatever it may be. So would you go to the Lord? Maybe if there's some snow outside, you can look at the glistening of the sunset with the snow and the reflection, and just think the goodness of God, and just think that everything that we have was created by him and for him. And then think about maybe some of the struggles or some of the things that maybe you've been going through or going through right now. Would you just release those to the Lord, because our God can do anything, anything. And so would you go to him and say, God, would you protect me? God, would you renew my mind? God, I've been struggling, whatever it may be. Would you be honest with the Lord, and would you experience his presence as you go to our everlasting, all powerful, almighty, sovereign God today? And may you experience his presence, hear his voice as you choose to do so today. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure to tune in tomorrow for the Daily Dose for Spiritual Growth.